You're sharing your screen, Ajit?
Yes, I am. You're not able to see?
He should share or he shouldn't share? You shouldn't share the screen at this point in time.
Okay, you don't want me to share? Right now it's
Yeah,
shared.
yeah. Let them come in and after that you get into the screen. Like, you know how Rajnikant gets into the frames after the titles and all are over.
All right. So there's a chat window as well for the panelists. So just
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is a good thing. Yeah. You'll add the topic along with your name, Ajit?
yeah, it's there already on the first slide. So that's why I said I can
Oh,
put.
it's there in the first slide.
No, no, ma'am. Very good afternoon. Ramaya College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Department of Management Studies welcomes you to the webinar on Management Challenges and Opportunities in the Face of Pandemic. And the topic for the day is Marketing in the Times of COVID-19. At this outset, I would like to welcome the speaker for the day, Mr. Ajit Belani, Vice President Marketing of ICA Software. On behalf of Department of Management Studies, I would like to welcome you, sir. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our Dean, Dr. Bindu Nambiar. I welcome you, ma'am. Also, I would like to extend my heartiest welcome to the faculties of Ramaya College of Arts, Science and Commerce and faculties of other esteemed institutions, students, and other participants. Instructions to the participants. Participants are hereby informed to post their questions in the chat box, and the question and answer session will be held at the end of the session. In order to be eligible for the certificate of participants, the participants are requested to attend all the sessions and submit the assessment form. Participants, kindly note that the assessment forms shall be sent to your email ID at the end of the 4th session. It takes me an immense pleasure to introduce the faculty moderator of the day, Dr. Satya Suresh, Adjunct Professor, Department of Management Studies, Ramaya College of Arts, Science and Commerce. Now, I would like Dr. Satya Suresh ma'am to introduce the speaker for the day. Over to you, ma'am.
Our first speaker in this 4-day webinar series is Ajit Belani. He is an accomplished person and has played distinguished roles in multinational corporations. Currently, Ajit is the Vice President in ICA Software and handles demand generation, digital public relations, communications, content marketing, and operations. He designs global campaigns and events for various product lines of ICA. Ajit has over 17 years experience and has worked for Altron, IBM, Capgemini, and Hutch in the past. Ajit is an electronic engineer from Mumbai University and has executive management degree from IIM Calcutta. In IBM, Ajit was awarded Young Marketing Achiever from Chief Marketing Council. I'm very pleased to hand over the dais to our speaker for the day, Ajit Belani. Welcome to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Satya. I hope I'm audible and the voice is clear.
Yeah, you're audible and you can start off.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So first of all, thanks to Dr. Satya, Dr. Bindu, Dr. Chakrapani for inviting me over. It's always a pleasure talking to students and young minds. I just hope that all of you are doing fine physically, mentally. We all are going through some different times and very difficult times, right? Something that many of us have not experienced in our lifetimes before. So just remember that we all are there for you. We all are there for each other, right? So hang in there and we will get through this. So with that, I'd like to kick off and talk a bit about and share my thoughts on on what we are going through at this point. I'll sort of give you a brief overview of what's happening in the industry, what are companies facing, what are businesses facing, and what many of us are doing to sort of tide over it, right? So and please feel free to keep your questions coming on chat. We'll take it up at the end of the session. And I'd like to hear from you as well on what you thought about the presentation and whatever questions you have. So with that, let's kick off, right? So this is a
kick off.
Yeah. This is a quote by Martin Sorrell, right, who recently said, this is not 2008, it's not 9/11, it's not the 90s downturn, it's not even 1970s oil crisis, right? This feels like wartime. So it sort of sums up, what we are and businesses are going through at this point. It's something, extremely difficult. something like I said, none of us or very few of us have experienced before. I'm sorry. Yeah. So what's happening exactly, right? So I think one of the primary things that's happening is the risk to personal life, right, and health has been like never before. Obviously there's been a lot of business impact, due to the lockdown and the travel freeze and other things that are happening at this point. However, the primary focus is on personal life and health, which has never really been impacted like this ever before. We are already at 400,000 plus deaths, right? And which is, not a small amount, right, by any standard. This is a snapshot of today morning, right, of the COVID dashboard. And as you can see, about 7 million plus cases across the globe, with 402,000 plus deaths. And, as I was making this presentation, right, over the last couple of days, and I was just looking at this, dashboard on a daily basis, and it is staggering the number at which cases are increasing and the deaths are increasing. What you would also notice is something very unique this time is the developed markets are the most impacted, whether you look at US, whether you look at Europe, right, and obviously populated countries like India, China, and others would be impacted. But the developed markets, the impact to developed market has caused a really lasting disruption to the economy world over. Businesses are being impacted, like never before. Somewhere I heard or read that almost 1 in 6 businesses are facing shutdown right during this crisis. So it's an extremely tough environment that we are in. Some of the big names that we always thought were great brands and would always be around forever, like Hertz, right? JC Penney, some of the big retailers of the world are facing tough times. Debenham, all these companies have already filed for bankruptcy, or they're going through some arbitration process. Virgin Atlantic, the airlines, they are struggling, and they've asked for a bailout. So it's something that even bigger companies are finding it very difficult to navigate. We always feel that the large companies can get through disruption, and what we have seen is for example, a company like Hertz, right, which is a Fortune, I believe, 330 company and almost $10 billion in revenue, right, in just a couple of months of lockdown, because the entire business depends on travel and people using their cars, right, and so on. A couple of months of travel has sort of choked their cash flows completely, and they had no option but to file for bankruptcy, in spite of the huge losses, huge employee layoffs. So this is what's happening in the world, right? And if you look at this, some of the hot startups that we thought were doing extremely good, right, from your Ubers of the world to Lyfts and others, right, all of them are going through really, really tough times. If you can look at the top sectors impacted, as you can see here, transportation, travel, consumer, retail, right? Anything, that requires you to step out of the house is impacted. If you look at the infographic on the left, you'll notice that, the ones in purple or the darker colors have actually let go of almost 45 to 50% plus of their workforce already, right? Which is a huge impact. Normally, when we hear of companies going through tough times or layoffs, you normally see a 10%, 15%, layoff or a reduction in workforce along with cost cutting and so on. But, 40, 50% has never been, it's unheard of. And at this scale, right, that's happening. Well, what's happening in India? So obviously, India is not, left out of, out of this carnage. So obviously we have, companies like, Ola, which has, cut down on jobs. On the right side of the screen, you see that, a lot of the, hot startups who already employed, a lot of people in India have also cut jobs here. But on the other hand, everything is not glum and down. We do have some companies who are taking advantage of the situation and doing more than well. So for example, your business collaboration companies, cloud companies, they're suddenly seeing a huge increase in the user base and the uptake of their products and solutions. So if you look at, Microsoft Teams, right, almost 70% jump on the daily active users. In my company, we use Teams, quite a bit, and it's sort of a primary, platform to collaborate and work. So we are active users of Teams. Great product. However, it never saw the uptake that it has today, and it's all because of the current environment that we are in. Similarly, Zoom, right, the platform that we are currently using, it's a huge jump in number of users, to 200 million and even more, right, over the 3-month period. And this, chart on the right side that you see is basically the share price. And you just look at the way it has zoomed. There's zoomed so much that Zoom's market cap or value today is more than the market cap of the world's top 7 airlines combined, which is staggering, right? One would have never thought a product cloud company like Zoom would be worth more than, all the big airlines combined together. So that's the strange world that we are living in. And like I said, it's an opportunity for many of the companies. Digital transformation, digital acceleration, as we call it. Companies have been trying to do that for a while, but COVID has just accelerated their journey, by leaps and bounds, right? Something that they would have thought would probably take them 5 years, 10 years. The CIOs are now trying to do it in a span of few months or less than a year. So that's where we are. So in terms of what are the key challenges, right? So that, this situation brought upon us. The first and the primary one being business continuity and survival, right? It is just, difficult to, keep businesses running at this point of time. And that's where, the management team and, the senior leaders and the CEOs are focused on how do they ensure minimal disruption to their business, minimal disruption to their customers, right? And basically, how do we survive to get on the other side of the situation? Like I shared a few slides earlier, many of these companies, won't exist on the other side of this. Adopting to changing customer behavior, obviously, a lot of things have changed. The way, we behave, the way we interact, the way we consume information, the way we buy, it has all changed, and that has brought in, increasing, complexities for the marketer, right? So, how we are working towards the changing customer behavior, and then finally, how do we get back to growth, get back to life, right? Get back to work. So to begin with, right, business continuity. So this is again a very critical piece, right? And companies, the best companies have always invested in this, right? Where they foresee all sorts of, doomsday scenarios and ensure that their IT systems and the processes are in place to ensure, business continuity no matter what happens. Some of the cloud companies of the world like Google, AWS, Microsoft, right? They're extremely good at this. And, over years, they have invested, in their infrastructure to ensure that, their business doesn't get disrupted and their customers don't get disrupted. In fact, most of the SLAs provide for 99.99% uptime, if you go into the details. So, what happened when all this started, right? So the first thing that the companies had to do was, move to a new way of working, right? They had to get virtual. They have to, most of the, if you look at the Indian IT sector or the tech sector, right, that I'm part of, IT companies were always digitally ahead. They had the best of breed systems in place, all of that, right? But if you look at the BPO industry, well, they thought they had the best systems, but nobody had planned for what happened, right? Working from home, the data security, the customers' data. Many of these, BPO, industry employees, they still work on desktops, for example, right? They need to have softwares and systems that can be accessible only from office. So moving all of that, to a home or a virtual environment, took a lot of time. In fact, many companies still haven't got up, right? Make My Trip, for example, you cannot reach them. You cannot find an executive to chat with online. However, some other companies like Indigo, they're doing well. I see that, they're available on chat, right? At least if not on phone. If you look at the telecom companies, this has brought a lot of pressure on them to keep, because telecom is sort of the backbone at which all the businesses are currently running. And, on the right side of the screen, you see a letter by Gopal Vittal, who's the CEO of Airtel, and many of you would have received this letter in your inbox. I got about 5 communications from him, over the span of last 3 months, constantly updating us on what's happening, what Airtel is doing to get over the crisis, how they are keeping things business as usual, and so on. Same way, Teka, we did the same. We are a cloud, product company, SaaS company based out of Bangalore, but our customers are largely North America, Europe, and so on. And our software is also a mission critical software, something like ERP, right? Where companies have to use it on a daily basis. So even for us, it was important that we keep a cloud software up and running at all times. Our support and customer support, delivery, everything is able to function as it, as business as usual. So that was sort of the first effort that all of us, sort of the first phase that all of us went through when this hit us. So what did we do, right? Like I said, moving to a virtual way of working. Like I said, moving to work from home environment, it's easy for people in the tech sector, not easy in other sectors, right? Wherever data security is concerned, wherever infrastructure is concerned, and so on. It took a lot of time for companies to figure that out. And, at least in the IT tech space, I've seen that, companies have done very well. However, some companies who cannot function, their, revenues have dropped almost to zero, whether you take manufacturing. If you're not in essential services, you're currently shut till the lockdown opens up. Manufacturing has taken a big hit, and these are companies that work on very thin margins, right? So even one day loss of productivity impacts them quite a bit. Same way, we have seen travel, tourism, right? Retail sector, except for your, essential shops, right? Which is your medical supplies and your, food and, groceries and all of that. Most other shops, retail, malls, everything got shut in the lockdown, right? And that really impacted their business. So what do they have to do, right, to survive? Cut cost, obviously, that's the first thing, right? And, I think the industry has done well here, I would say. Many of the CEOs moved very fast. They created risk models. They predicted, the worst case scenarios, best case scenarios, and they took a look at their, balance sheets. They took a look at their cash flows, and, took very quick decisions on, how they're going to, trim costs and, how they're going to get on the other side of this. What we have seen is, the essential spend category, right? That will continue. People are focusing on essential spend versus discretionary. And the companies that are actually in that category of essential spend, right? Whether it's the food business, right? Whether it's your telecom services, right? Or your mobile services, telecom, any such categories which people can't live without, right? Public utility companies and so on. Those are still doing fine. They have seen obviously some drops in revenues, but the companies which are on the discretionary side, for example, you go to a mall, right? Movies, shopping, anything that, gadgets, right? Whatever, anything that you don't need for your day-to-day work at home, that falls under discretionary. And, that's where, there's been a big hit. So even for businesses, right? Like ours, it's been okay because, we are, like I said, a mission critical software, like a ERP. So companies need to keep using it. Same way, IT industry, right? Customers need to have IT spend. I have an IT backbone up and running that keeps their businesses going. So those companies are doing fine, but others have been, it's been tough on others. So companies looked at what else did we do, right? So there were headcount reduction, as you just saw, wherever the cost can be deferred, if not reduced, right? So salary cuts or, bonuses and other things were deferred. That sort of helped the companies, right, during this period. As you know, that government has announced some moratoriums, right, on loan repayments and so on. And that holds good even for corporates. So most of the companies, as you all must be aware, take loans, right, from banks. And even they have a moratorium on the payment cycles without attracting huge penalties. And that has really helped. It has brought in some liquidity into the market. Companies, I think what they did first thing was ensure that they have a 1 year worth of cash flow available. Now, if you notice the Indian startup scene, right, which is heavily dependent on VC funding and, heavy discounting, right, whether you take your Swiggies or Flipkarts of the world, who have never made a rupee of profit even today, right? They're just burning cash. These are the companies who had to really take really drastic steps. Swiggy cut 1,100 jobs. So what that has put in focus is, I think, the way that businesses run, right? And these are things that are going to change forever. because, everyone now realizes that, while times are good, such business models are fine. But, when we hit a crisis, these are the companies who are the first to fail. So I think founders and CEOs have been focused on that, ensuring, they have good cash flow and cutting costs, right? Many companies have evolved to a new way of working. So, for example, if you take an enterprise software product, sort of like a SAP or Oracle or any other product, even at Eka, right, what we do, a lot of the deployment happens on site, right? Once the customer purchases the product, there is obviously some element of configuration, there is some user training involved, UATs as we call it, or user acceptance testing. All of that happens, at the customer side. And we do these workshops, which are 2-week, 4-week workshops, to ensure that product is up and running, meets the specifications of the customer is happy, and so on. Now, in this new way of working, we have all evolved to a very virtual, virtual deployment, testing, and so on. And surprisingly, it seems to be working. And customers, the benefit to them is low cost, because they don't have to spend on the travel. They don't have to, all the overheads are cut. And at the end of the day, the delivery is happening. So customers are happy. So this is another point that I'd like to make. Some of the things that, some of the things are going to change forever. It's not, we will not come back to the pre-COVID days of working. TCS, I don't know if you've read, has announced that, by 2025, they will have just 25% of the workforces working from office. It's a very, very tall, sort of claim and a task that they've set out to do. What they're noticing is today, with barely 10% workforce in office, if things are working fine, then maybe ongoing we can work with 25% workforce in office. Think of the huge real estate office costs that they would be saving, right? And that will all just add to the bottom line and make these companies much more valuable. So that's where we are headed. Obviously, when this happened, along with the cuts, the first thing that happened was, the drop in the ad spend, right? Obviously, we marketers were hit the first, in a way. And good testimony of that is, if you just read your newspaper, if you look at Times of India, for example, the size of the newspaper came down by half, right? So, so it shows, right, the companies were the first to sort of cut ad spend, because if nobody's buying, e-commerce players are not working, shops are not open. Even if they do advertising, who's going to buy it? So it's not worth spending at this time. Also, people who are, worried about their jobs, they are, like I said, only doing essential spending, not discretionary. And most of the advertising that we see is on discretionary spend, right? So what has also happened is the change in buyer behavior, right? As you can see on the chart at the bottom left, right? The number of deals that are closing, right, in at least in our industry, has dropped drastically. So the benchmark is, the x-axis that you see is the benchmark pre-COVID, and then you can see the blue line is the drop in the number of deals that has happened. And this data is between Jan to May, so you can see the difference and how drastically new sales has dropped. So what does it mean for marketers, right? So we sent out emails, we sent out sales communication emails, we sent out marketing communication emails, we run campaigns. What we've seen is there's been a drastic drop in responses to sales emails. The chart on the top right. And what that means is customers are not ready to buy. Even if they want to buy, they are holding on to buying decisions. So decisions are not happening, deals are not closing. Obviously, there's been a drastic drop compared to pre-COVID levels. However, for marketing, I think there is a bit of positive, that we see over here. We see a lot of engagement with marketing emails that are going out. So this engagement is on various levels, right? On education emails, right? People are now wanting to learn more, upskill themselves. They are taking the time, additional time that they have, due to not spending, a lot of hours in traffic. For those of us in, Bangalore or Mumbai, they're using the time to really do something, fruitful, upskill themselves, learn. And that's why we see a lot of, uptake in this. Even webinars, for example, we see a huge increase, obviously in the number of webinars happening, but also in the participation and the response rate and the attendee rates. So something like today, I believe we have close to 1,000 registrations. So, typical webinars, you normally see low registrations from during pre-COVID times, but now it's very different. What we see is people would like to hear more from marketing rather than sales, because marketing, helps to educate them. Marketing helps to, share knowledge, and people are in a very learning mode right now. They are doing more research online. They're trying to, educate themselves on how we get through disruption, how we get through these difficult times. But they are not taking buying decisions. So we have to wait till the tide changes. So what all has happened? So obviously marketing budgets were cut, all events were cancelled globally. Travel restrictions came into force. As you know, in B2B marketing, we rely a lot on events to sort of promote the brand, to generate leads, and to grow sales. So pre-COVID, for example, events contributed 40% towards the overall leads that we generate, and that entire channel has completely disappeared now, right? So, but we still have to do our job. We still have to market. We still have to get leads. We still have got to close sales. So what do we do, right? So focus is now on digital, virtual events, webinars. There's been a huge spike. You'll also find a lot of WhatsApp memes or forwards going around on webinars, but that's one of the few channels that we have left today to talk to our customers and talk to our partners, right? We have seen a huge spike in complimentary offers, product trials. For example, Microsoft Teams offered free Teams license for 6 months. Same with Zoom. Zoom is free, as you know, for individuals to use. One of my friends actually did his sister's wedding on Zoom. So, his sister was in US, his family was in Hyderabad. So we are seeing all sorts of things happening, right? So this is a great time for digital. It's a great time, to invest in digital technologies. As you can see with the growth of companies like Zoom and others, right? During this period, people are actually investing quite a bit. Complementary offers and product trials closer to home. I think, I don't know if you are, I think one example is Shadi.com that I can think of for those of you looking to get married. So they announced that till the lockdown is over, they're not going to charge anyone. So it's a free, free access that they're giving out. Free education certifications. Again, like I said, there's a heavy uptake in learning. And, people are actually investing quite a lot in getting certified, getting trained. In fact, most education companies like Byju's, and others have seen a huge growth and huge spike in the number of people attending the platform. And this is really, this is really a time for many of these companies to shine. If you look at LinkedIn, LinkedIn has an education arm as well. They provide courses. They opened it up free. Most of these companies, it's a great time to offer free trials, because this is a time when people actually can spend on learning and education. And once, they are used to it, they like the product, they're obviously going to pay for it, right? So otherwise, it's always a difficult task even to get people to, do a free trial. From a education, another thing that we see change is the focus on engagement versus the, focus on selling, right? Marketers are now more trying to, our focus is more on engaging with our customers, having meaningful conversations, sharing thought leadership material and, education material with them, and getting them to talk to us. And, that is what the focus is on rather than selling. And obviously we have to work on creating relevant content for times like this, right? That is extremely important. Just share some examples of this now. So this is what we did at, at Eka. We ran some webinars, right? And this was a very successful webinar, obviously great content, great number of leaders speaking. We got a huge, about, 11 to 1200 registrations, almost about 700 to 800 live attendees during the session. Another thing that we did was very interesting was, we launched a supply chain risk assessment app, a COVID risk assessment app. So since we are in, in the area of providing supply chain software, our product team quickly came up with this idea where they could overlay, the COVID impact data on the customers' orders, right? The supplier orders. And we could tell the customers which of your orders are actually impacted because of the supply chain disruption in COVID impacted countries. And based on the location of the suppliers, we could tell them that, okay, these are the orders that are probably not going to complete, and you need to find alternate suppliers, right, to fulfill your needs. And we launched this app in a span of a week. We launched this campaign, we went live very quickly, and we saw a huge uptake in and interest in people trying this app out. So a lot of companies have done this, right? If you go to SAP, Salesforce, and others, right? Many of them have come up with some offers for COVID. Apart from, like I said, many companies are actually giving out free offers. They have reduced their pricing. GoToMeeting made it completely free. From what I remember, I spoke to the India CM of GoToMeeting, and when the COVID hit us, she said that, we have made it completely free for the next 3 to 6 months. So it's a great time for some of these companies to, and we are trying to leverage the opportunity as much as we can. So some do's and don'ts, I could think of. So be authentic, right? I think that's most important. Be yourself. Always have a brand voice. Always know what you stand for, and be honest in your communication with your customers. Revisit your campaigns and messaging. What happens with marketing is, we plan 3 to 6 months in advance. We launch campaigns, right? And the messaging gets decided well in advance. Once the campaign's alive, we don't always revisit the messaging. Maybe it's not needed sometimes, but sometimes it's needed. In times like this, I think that is extremely important. Many of us might still be getting offers from some, e-commerce or other companies with some specific product offers, which they had planned way back, right? But it's important that we revisit all of that and see, what we had planned. Does that still make sense? Is it still relevant, right? So I think that's what the focus should be on. Assess your media and channels wisely. We have seen, like I said, with the shift in consumer behavior, there's been a huge uptake there's been a huge change in the way, consumers consume information, right? For example, TV viewing time has gone up, right? Radio has gone down, right? So people are sitting at home, they're not driving, they're not listening to radio, but they're watching TV, they're consuming a lot of Netflix and Prime and so on. So what can be done, right? YouTube views have gone up. So what are the channels that you need to really be present on now, right, during these times? Don't assume that, customer is consuming content